Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now going to turn my attention to Professor Dolores Cahill from my home country, from Ireland, and it's an honour to speak with you here today, Professor Cahill. Like everybody else, it's been a pleasure to interview you all today. So, Professor Cahill, if I could just ask you, Mads mentioned vaccines a moment ago. So, I understand from listening to you speak in the past that you've said that if someone were to offer you €1 million, you would not take a vaccine. Can you let us know why?
Yes, thank you, Martin. And I think, you know, in the last few months, there's been a lot of numbers and confusions around PCR cases.
Yes.
And I thought it might be an easier way for people, you know, who are considering as parents looking after children or as people themselves or grandparents, should I take these vaccines? That they would look at someone like me. I'm a molecular biologist and immunologist.
Yes.
And I ran one of these biosafety labs, and I set up a company to look at diagnostic assays, and I've been involved.
So you would be an expert in this area.
An expert in this,
so,
but also including vaccines, you know, for meningitis. That I have looked into it, and I've been aware in general that since 1999 there has been an issue around diagnostics and pathology and antibodies. You know that a lot of the time companies were selling products that weren't actually what they said. And then I was involved in Europe and worldwide in trying to correct the scientific record, and there was huge pushback and intimidation, you know, and also saying if you keep speaking like that, you won't get promoted and you won't get further grants. Okay? Which is not the response should be to correct the record. So I suppose in this specific case, I've looked into vaccines for 20 years, and specifically since 2002-03 with the first SARS, and also with the HPV vaccine in detail since my daughter, you know, I had to make the decision around the HPV vaccine.
Yes.
And I did the analysis, and I found that for every 1 year of life saved in HPV, there was 8,000 years lost in adverse events. And so the information in the media and in the schools was not portrayed that way. And I thought if I made the decision not to do HPV vaccine, that in Ireland, the parents were not given full informed consent, and children should not be vaccinated through the education system. It should be through the health system.
Yes.
And they are not getting, and I decided to dedicate at that day at least 10 years of my life so that the parents all around the world would get the information and would make full informed consent.
Very important. Of course, I was just going to ask you about informed consent. You know, we all have the right to bodily integrity, but informed consent goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah.
But you feel that
well, I think
been
because the vaccines are portrayed as being safe and effective.
Yes.
But actually, Robert Kennedy Jr. and Del Bigtree and lawyers in America have shown that except for the HPV that was shown to cause much more harm, not one of the childhood vaccines have actually been safety tested at all. So I've been determining for, 10 years that if you use a word called safe, it should mean something, Okay.
Absolutely.
And also the other issue is that death is a major adverse event with the childhood vaccines. So I discovered 10 years ago that children who are vaccinated in America under 1 have a higher chance of dying than in Africa.
That's shocking.
It's shocking. And also that they use 32 different words for death. So if you're a parent and you look at they may not get the patient information leaflet, but there are words like SIDS and SUDS. And I've been involved in advising governments.
Those are acronyms for...
So this is adverse events.
Yes.
Yeah? So you might say a fever,
yes.
that you might feel unwell. But then an adverse event was SIDS. But I decided when I discovered it...
SIDS, SIDS?
It means death.
Is that, forgive me if I'm wrong, but does that mean sudden infant death syndrome?
It means, so they have 31 or 32 ways of calling death.
Yes.
And what I've been saying at various committees and around the world and within the EU is that if the adverse event is death for a parent, the word death should be there.
I see.
So the 32 versions are sudden, unexpected,
yes.
Sudden infant death, SIDS, sudden infant death, SUDS, sudden unexpected death.
I see.
But what I've been saying is that a parent, if they saw the word death for a disease that's very rare, for example, on day 1 in America, children get vaccinated for a sexually transmitted disease that you can only get if you have sexual intercourse and take drugs. The vaccines on average may only last 8 years, and they get it on day one. And you can test the mother before the child is born. And their death is an adverse event that's quite significant. So therefore, it's not necessary. So, if you have death as an adverse event, the parents, in a way, it's not relevant whether it's sudden, unexplained, sudden, unexpected, sudden infant. Those words with SIDS, SUDS, it's death. So I've been trying for many years to get the word death unsuccessfully. And so if for a parent, you have a much higher chance of your baby dying for a vaccine that you don't need because they're not going to have drug taking, then it's a harm-benefit analysis.
So just in relation to the vaccine that they're proposing for COVID-19, and what would you say to that for people like me? I'm not medically qualified, and I take for granted what I hear from but I'll always question. But we are encouraged to accept what our government says and what the mass media say. What do you say as an expert in this area?
The issue is that what we're being told is the exact opposite of what's true. So if they say currently vaccines are safe and effective, it's not true. So in the HPV vaccine, you will have 8,000 times more illness if you get the vaccine than if you didn't get it.
And do you foresee something similar happening with the COVID-19 vaccine and this new tech? They speak a lot about new technology like mRNA, I believe they call it.
So why I spoke out on the 11th of May 2020 is that for coronaviruses, there has not ever been a vaccine licensed in the whole world. And we had SARS in 17 years ago, 2002, 2003. And they have been trying to make vaccines against coronaviruses since then. And separately, there was an institute in the UK that was trying to make a vaccine against the common cold for 40 years, coronavirus, and it shut down because they never made a vaccine. It's not that they never made a vaccine. It's that when they put the vaccine into animals, either all the animals died or they got so sick that the vaccines were never licensed. So there are some studies where all the animals die from the vaccine.
And what causes that? What actually...
So why I spoke out is it's unusual in that when you get the vaccine itself, the animals won't die. Or there was also another respiratory virus vaccine where the babies die. So you don't die straight away from the vaccine. Viruses circulate every year in the annual flu season. And that's if you have been super primed in your body by the vaccine, by injecting it, your body has mounted this huge response against the vaccine, the coronavirus, or if it's contaminated in the flu. But people don't die. But if the coronavirus circulates the next winter or in 2 years' time, your body then sees the circulating virus like an allergy, like a peanut allergy. It's like anaphylaxis.
Yes. So in other words, it's almost like making a person become hypersensitive. Is that what you're saying?
It's like anaphylaxis.
To the wild virus, so to speak.
So what happens is it would be like if you injected someone with peanuts. Injected them.
So somebody who had an allergy.
So you're priming them to peanuts. And then, you don't tell them. And then at some stage they eat peanuts. They can actually drop dead or die within 4 days. So it's the exact same with this vaccine, except that we don't know when the next coronavirus is going to circulate because 4 years out of 10. So that you couldn't track it. So I came out to say that this is a possibility because if there was, Corona 21, or in just circulating Corona.
When you mean Corona 21, you mean
another coronavirus 21.
Another virus spreading a wild virus.
So either naturally or whatever, right? The people would actually die within a week. So it's like anaphylaxis. So you can actually go from being perfectly healthy one day to have an organ failure by day 4 to dying. So that if the hospitals aren't aware of that, or families, people can literally die within a week. And it could happen, that thousands of people. So there was a paper for Greg Wolf about an influenza vaccine that was for the first time ever. Normally they're made on chicken embryos, but they're made on dog kidney, which is unheard of because dog contain huge amounts of coronavirus.
So this would be in a potential COVID-19 vaccine, for example. Is that what
No,
you're
it
saying?
was an influenza
Oh, an
vaccine
influenza
last
vaccine.
year,
Yes.
but it was tested in the US military for a year. That's the way it works. And in this Greg Wolf paper, he said that 1 in 3 of these healthy soldiers had adverse events. Not after the vaccine, but because it was made on dog kidney, which should never have been. They were super priming against corona. When they came across a natural coronavirus like a common cold, they had huge adverse events. And why we're speaking out now is that you would not connect the two events. And so if you were to release some agent like anthrax, right, or some agent and scare the world, at the same time that we know the world is monitoring what are the viruses circulating,
Yes.
that you could have huge deaths, but it could be misassociated to some, media hyped anthrax or whatever. But actually people like us, and that's why I'm very honored to be setting up and involved in the World Freedom Alliance,
Yes.
is that we could look at the people dying at their vaccine record. And very quickly now that we have the committees show that the people dying were vaccinated. But, with influenza.
So there could be a correlation or a connection. Is that what is meant by the term pathogenic priming or viral interference?
Yes, super priming, cytokine storm, viral interference.
So they're all the same,
Yeah.
synonyms for the same.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I suppose what we're doing is what we want to prevent death. Okay, so all of us here and people involved talking about the veterans standing up, protecting people,
Of course.
is we are trying to not have a vacuum in the world. There's huge issues with what the governments are doing and the international organizations.
Yes.
And we are trying to set up alternatives for banking, political parties and new health system
Yes.
and innovation system. So there won't be a vacuum. And what we're saying now is we're saying all this about the influenza vaccine so that people do not take it. It's not necessary this year because the harm associated, the risk of death could be 1 in 3 people could die
Because
of this super prime.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
viral
you're
interference.
basically making them be allergic to a circulating coronavirus like a peanut allergy. And when it comes, people can drop dead within 5 days. A third of the population. You could be talking about tens of thousands of deaths. So if we say it now, the message now is this year, don't take any vaccines. Judy Mikovich is saying don't take any vaccines for 5 years. And because they're not safety tested, I would recommend that we actually, all of our countries, we do not have any vaccine programs through the elderly or compulsory. Nothing. And actually, we don't push them. If people want to get them, they can.
Yes.
But it should be stopped for
It
10
shouldn't
years
be
for the
mandatory.
school.
It should be by choice.
And the reason why I should say that is if you look at communities like the Amish in America,
United States, yes.
and right beside it you have New Jersey, that in New Jersey 1 in 20 boys have autism. Half of the children have chronic illness. And 20 miles away, you have a community with no allergies, no autism, very little death.
And what's
So
the
that's
difference between the two
the
communities?
vaccination.
So the Amish people do
And
not
of course,
take
they eat healthy, right?
Yes.
But of course, it means that when you look at it, the disease associated with children are sicker now than we had. And countries like America that invest the most in this medicine, have the sickest children. And it's been correlated
You would
in
imagine
multiple
it should be
studies.
the opposite, isn't that what you're saying?
So simply, if you just want to say to keep this year, I would not recommend because
You would
in
not recommend
coronaviruses,
vaccination, so
there are 54 vaccines competing for a market for a disease that's not necessary.
that's very interesting.
And
Because
they're also, the safety studies are not done. The regulators worldwide have said we're skipping the animal studies. And the vaccines were not licensed because the animals died. So what they're doing is saying we're simply not doing the animal studies. So therefore, and then we're just putting them into humans. And I am saying there will be significant deaths. And just to finish off, if you paid me 1 million, I wouldn't take it. If you paid me 10 million, you wouldn't take it. I would go to prison first. And if somebody vaccinates me, I will be suing them for attempted murder.
Thank you very much, Professor Cahill.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Schöning. Pleasure to speak with you too. And thank you very much, Mads. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today too. So listeners and viewers, you've listened to Dr. Heiko Schöning, Professor Dolores Cahill and Mads Palvi. And my name is Martin Byrne. Thank you very much. You have a lot of food for thought after listening to this interview. I hope you will consider it and make your own mind up. Thank you.